Welcome to Star Watch Now, your front row seat to all the hottest gossip, drama, and breaking news from the world of entertainment. If it's trending, shocking, or star-studded, we're covering it. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss what's coming next.
Imagine walking through the narrow streets of Shanghai's old town, the scent of street food in the air, the chatter of locals, and lanterns swaying above your head. Suddenly, a familiar figure appears just a few steps away. At first you think it's impossible, yet it's true. That man, blending into the crowd, was none other than Wang Yibo. And what I saw that day completely changed the way I thought of him. I still remember the moment as if it had been pulled out of a dream, one of those ordinary afternoons when you least expect the extraordinary to happen. The old town of Shanghai, with its narrow streets and centuries-old charm, was alive with the rhythm of daily life. Vendors called out their offers of tea and handmade crafts. The air carried the scent of roasted chestnuts, and the chatter of tourists blended into a warm, bustling atmosphere. I was simply walking, letting the history around me wash over me, when a figure in the crowd made me pause. At first there was nothing remarkable about him. His clothes were casual, his posture relaxed, his hair curling loosely over his forehead. Yet something about the way he moved, unhurried and at ease, drew my attention. I looked again, and in that instant my breath caught. It was Wang Yibo. The shock of recognition came with a wave of disbelief. This was not the carefully styled star who graced magazine covers and dazzled fans with flawless elegance. The man before me was different, tanned from the sun, his expression unguarded, his presence blending seamlessly with the world around him. For a moment I doubted my own eyes, as though my mind refused to reconcile the superstar image with the grounded figure standing in front of me. Others nearby seemed to share the same reaction. Their whispers mixed surprise with humor, some even laughing that he resembled a comedian in disguise. But to me, the sight was disarming in the most human way possible. What struck me most was not just his appearance, but the feeling it evoked. To witness someone so idolized stepping away from the layers of performance and fame was unexpectedly moving. He was no longer the untouchable icon projected onto giant screens, but a man enjoying a quiet stroll through history, no spotlight, no entourage, just himself. It made me realize how rare and precious such moments are, when the distance between celebrity and ordinary life collapses into something relatable and real. Seeing Wang Yibo like that reminded me that even the brightest stars need to walk unnoticed, to breathe in the world without expectation. It was in that fleeting encounter, in the contrast between his public persona and his private self, that I understood the depth of his appeal, not only as an artist, but as a human being. There was something profoundly striking about watching Wang Yibo move through the alleys of Shanghai's old town, not as a celebrity, but as a man at ease with his surroundings. The Yew Garden, with its delicate bridges and centuries-old pavilions, seemed to embrace him like an old friend. He did not walk with the careful steps of someone aware of being watched, nor did he carry himself with the aura of a performer putting on a show. Instead, he appeared unguarded, content simply to take in the textures of carved wood, the shimmer of koi beneath the water, and the quiet dignity of history breathing through each stone. It was this simplicity that revealed a new side of him, a version few are privileged to witness. For years, audiences have been captivated by his meticulously polished image, the perfect costumes, the dazzling charisma crafted for the screen. Yet here, stripped of all artifice, there was a gentleness to him, a stillness that felt almost meditative. His face, touched by sunlight, seemed more approachable than any photograph could capture. Without cameras flashing, without managers hovering, Wang Yibo became not a star but a traveler, someone who longed, perhaps, for a moment of solitude in a world that constantly demands his presence. The contrast was powerful because it invited a kind of empathy. Watching him in that moment, I could sense the weight he must carry, every step outside often scrutinized, every gesture magnified by millions of eyes. Yet within the walls of the old town, he was allowed to dissolve into anonymity, to blend with the crowd and become part of something larger than himself. It was not the roar of applause that defined him here, but the quiet rhythm of his own footsteps, echoing against centuries of tradition. That fleeting glimpse revealed more about his character than any stage performance could. It spoke of resilience, of the human need to reconnect with simple joys, of the beauty in living authentically, even when the world demands perfection. It made me reflect on how rare it is for stars to find a space where they can simply be, without expectation, without performance. In that quiet walk, Wang Yibo seemed to remind us all that true grace is not only in how one dazzles the world, but in how one remains grounded, humbled, and connected to life's ordinary wonders. Only a few days after that serene afternoon in Shanghai's Old Town, when Wang Yibo appeared almost hidden in plain sight, the world witnessed a transformation that seemed nothing short of cinematic. The same man who had blended so effortlessly into the crowd now stood beneath the blinding lights of Chanel's Nuit Bleu, commanding the stage with a presence that was impossible to ignore. Dressed in a black patent leather trench coat, its gilded buttons shimmering like fragments of starlight, he walked as though every step carried the weight of a story only he could tell. The roar of the audience rose around him, waves of screams and camera flashes that filled the night with electricity, and it felt as if the world itself paused to take in his arrival. The contrast between those two moments, the quiet anonymity of Yew Garden and the overwhelming spectacle of Chanel's grand event, was breathtaking. It revealed the extraordinary duality of his existence, one that shifts so seamlessly between vulnerability and dominance, between humility and grandeur. On the streets, he had been approachable, almost ordinary, but under the spotlight he became something larger than life, a figure sculpted from charisma and elegance. The transformation was not just about clothing or styling, but about energy. He carried himself with an unshakable confidence that turned the red carpet into a stage, the leather of his coat rippling like a warrior's armor, the fall of his curls shadowing his gaze in a way that spoke of mystery and command. What struck me most, however, was how natural it seemed. There was no trace of strain, no sense of him forcing himself into this role. It was as if the spotlight recognized him as much as he recognized it, embracing him as its rightful heir. The audience, swept into the whirlwind of that moment, could not look away. Some fans described him as a mythical figure, others as a king emerging from the pages of a legend. But beneath every description was the same truth. Wang Yibo had the rare ability to bridge two worlds, to be both the man you might pass on a street corner and the star who could stop time with a single glance. Watching him move from streets to spotlight was not just witnessing a change of setting, it was experiencing the very essence of what it means to live between the ordinary and the extraordinary, the contrast that wins hearts. What truly melted hearts wasn't just his commanding presence. Behind the scenes, cameras caught him quietly carrying his own equipment, chatting politely with staff, even blushing when addressed by executives. That duality, fierce elegance on stage and soft humility off stage, is what makes people fall in love with him all over again. It is this contrast that reminds us, greatness doesn't come from being untouchable, but from being human enough for everyone to relate to. Beyond fashion, a global influence. Wang Yibo isn't just a celebrity, he's a cultural bridge. At Paris Fashion Week, he paired Chanel couture with a Chinese heritage brooch, weaving East and West together in one look. This wasn't just fashion, it was cultural storytelling. Brands across the globe, from Red Bull to Chanel, trust him not just because of his fame, but because he carries authenticity into every collaboration. And perhaps even more inspiring is the fan base he unites. Teenagers, young professionals, and even women in their 30s and 40s, all cheering with equal passion. His story proves that charisma has no age limit. Fresh perspective. But let's think about it differently. What does it mean for us as ordinary people to witness this? For me, it was a lesson that even the brightest stars shine best when they embrace their true selves. Whether sipping tea in Old Town or dazzling under Chanel's spotlight, Wang Yibo teaches us that authenticity is the ultimate form of power. So, have you ever had a moment like this, when reality surprised you more than any film or drama could? Would you want to meet your favorite star on the street, and what would you say if you did? Share your thoughts in the comments below, because your stories matter here. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you never miss the next chapter of inspiration and discovery. Until then, stay curious, stay inspired, and I'll see you in the next video.